Hey everybody, this is the Pigskin in the Mosh Pit podcast.
Taking it on the chin, spinning a primal race. Super fist, it's the mob, get on your cage. That's when I feel the power surge, and that's who all this begins.
What's up, everybody? It's Big Bri. You guys are watching Pigskin in the Mosh Pit podcast. We're talking Browns. Let's bring in the panel. First up, Purgatory, ex-Mushroomhead lead singer and co-founder, Mr. Jeff Hatrix.
How's it going, brother? How you doing?
What's happening, dude? Doing good, man. Doing good. We're coming off a win. This is a good week.
Yes.
Much better time doing the show than we did probably last week, hopefully at least.
Oh, yeah.
Let's bring in our other co-host, Manimals frontman, co-founder. Actually, he's probably just really the founder, I guess, at this point. I don't think there's anyone. He's up there doing it, just killing it. I mean, what a fucking animal he is. He's Larry the Wolf.
What's up, brother?
Jeff, I'm waiting for the howl. There it was. Okay, there it was. I look forward to that every week.
Awesome.
Up next, he's our sports analyst, like the true font, the one that really like makes it legit, from Cleveland.com. Also plays drums for Maiden Amereica, Mob Rules, and The Wall Sleep. We're talking about Dan Gilles. What's up, Dan?
What's up, brother?
What a great introduction. Thank you, brother.
I'm getting better.
You made me sound better than I am.
I'm getting better. And as always, we have a special guest with us. And this week we're bringing in Rockstar Radio's own, the Duke. What's up, dude?
What's up, brother?
What's up, everybody?
Hey, what's happening, man?
Thanks for having me.
Not a problem, man. Not a problem. It's a good time. Good time having you. You're gonna have fun hanging out with the fucking pimps, dude. Now you're an honorary pimp yourself. So congratulations on that one. Anyways, coming off a victory. It was a crazy week in the NFL. I think we'll get into a lot of that stuff. And they won. The Browns won. Watson wasn't, stellar, but boy, it was a lot better than the first week for sure, in my opinion. He definitely looked better.
I could argue that.
Well, I that's fine. I just think he looked better. I just think he looked better.
The drops took away what would have been an even better performance.
I agree. No, I agree on that. And you can't deny that there was and actually it's just a weird year for him too, as far as Amari Cooper goes. Like, again, just not typical play from him whatsoever. Getting it from people that were unexpectedly stepping up. Actually, Elijah Moore had a decent game.
Jerry Jeudy
had a nice game. With no tight end, I thought it would be a real tough game. Our running game still isn't really, lighting it up. We're used to Chubb, and we're not even getting, Ub.
I mean,
so
Foreman was better.
Yeah, he did. He looked good. I mean, not better than week one. Again, I think they all looked better than week one. I think the whole team actually as a whole looked better than week one. Obviously, what I want to say about that is it's because we're playing a lot lesser team. Dallas is just such a juggernaut. Then Dallas goes and gets their faces smashed in by New Orleans, and I'm just like, well, that kind of takes away that whole entire theory. So, yeah, what do you guys think about some of that? What do you think?
And then our brother in misery's team won.
Who though?
Oh, the Jets.
Our brother in misery.
Oh, can you believe that too? And it's like I'm telling you guys, it's like a parallel universe with us and the Jets, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
What do you think about that, Larry? Did you get to see the Jets game at all?
No, I wasted zero time on those guys. They got three quarters out of me the week before on that Monday night game, and they're going to be on Thursday night against New England. So as I said, it's great to see both teams win. And I know I was grumpy last week, guys, so I apologize.
It made for great podcast.
I was pretty grumpy myself.
Yeah,
I
everybody.
was pretty
everybody
grumpy too.
It was a great one. I even was able to
With
make
good reason, right? We all had a reason to be grumpy last week. And Duke, it's great to see you here tonight, pal.
I am happy to be here. Listening to you guys are definitely into it, and it's good. It's good. The Browns, go Browns. I'm glad they won. I don't watch a lot because I'm so busy with what I do all the time, but I'm definitely a huge Browns fan and have been my whole life. So Cleveland,
That's awesome.
I love the CLE, and so.
Well, I think you're also one of them dudes that kind of was invested in at one time more, and then through the years you've kind of gotten uninvested, and it's kind of like prove it to me type attitude now, and I think that's kind of where you're at, kind of, sort of, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do like watching when I can get the chance, but like my brother says, when I watch, they lose, and he says, "Don't watch."
Well, there you go. Then don't watch it. It's true stuff. That's truth. Your watching can affect the outcome of that game.
I know it's all my fault.
Yeah, it's true.
You're the jinx.
You're the guy.
Sorry about that.
It's all
I feel it too, though. So I've been feeling it my whole life. So
Well, it was an interesting game. I mean, it was a lot of fun to watch that game because the defense did show up, and it was definitely interesting. Now, I was talking a little bit about this, and I know this is kind of like right off the bat, kind of weird, but I was talking about this with Larry before we started the show, and I was saying, JOK comes out with that Guardian helmet on, and you could tell right away that it was just weird looking, right? But like,
At least they had it painted.
yeah, right. That was kind of right. I was happy to see that. But like I'm thinking about it while I'm watching it, and I'm like, I don't really hate that. Like I would rather give me a bigger helmet. I just don't want them to keep changing the rules so that just a little brush up against the quarterback is now roughing the quarterback. I mean, call it what you will, but I saw a hit on Watson where I was like, that was not roughing the quarterback. Now, granted, that happens to us enough times where I don't care about getting it back when it does happen. But I'm just using that as an example, as a time where I see these things and I'm like, man, that should not be a penalty right there. And I hate it too because we have great defensive linemen, and I hate when it goes against us as well, and it does a lot. So it's like, man, I just hate them rules. So I think if they can make it safer with some kind of a tweak to the equipment or something, I'd say I'm all for it. I'm all for that kind of safety. You know what I'm saying?
My question is, JLK had one on. Where the hell was Ward's?
Yeah, he's got like 15 concussions or whatever it is.
Right.
If anyone needs a Guardian helmet, it's Denzel Ward.
But he would look funny. He would look like an eraser, like a pencil with one of them big ass erasers.
At least he'd probably be on the field a little more. I think he played 11 downs.
Yeah. Oh, did he only play 11 downs?
Yep.
How the hell where do you get that information from, John? That's pretty good. That's pertinent shit right
on the radio today before the afternoon terrible drive got on.
That's awesome. That is actually. I did hear an interesting thing today. I was talking to Larry again before, and we were talking about just in the name of, he's saying that it reminds him of the AFL.
Without the violence.
Without the violence, right? Without the heavy hitting and stuff. But in other words, what he's saying is the AFL was just such a open offense of just pure scoring, and it was exciting, and it changed the game, or like you said, arena football, but with more talent. Yeah. That whole idea of that whole thing, it's kind of going in that more of that direction, and I totally agree. I mean, and that's what I'm afraid of in some ways, is that it's going too much in that direction, and so I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm just happy that there's I don't know, maybe 5 different helmets you can wear now. At least they're trying to make some kind of change where there is no protection instead of you're basically wearing a piece of plastic.
Yeah.
I used to work at Riddell. I don't know if any of you guys knew this or not.
Yes.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I worked there from 2016 to 2020, and then a brief comeback in 22.
How many helmets did you get?
Oh, I have several. I'm looking right now. I see a whole shelf of mini helmets of 28 to 32 teams, along with a full-size Browns helmet, a full-size Falcons helmet, I have a few, but I will say that from working there, that we were kind of, I say we, even though I don't work there anymore, but Riddell was really ahead of the curve when it came to like safety measures and head injuries and things like that. Like they had monitors they built in the helmets that would measure impact, and they would use the readings to kind of determine what part of the helmet needed more cushion than the rest. So I do know that I know that Riddell doesn't make the Guardian cap, but I know that their stance is that they're for it. Anything to kind of help the safety is a good thing. And that's why a lot of, and it's not the official helmet of the NFL anymore. They basically, after all the CTE lawsuits, they're like, yep, we're not going to be the official helmet.
Oh,
but
interesting.
But the Riddell helmet is probably 60% of the league, with Shutt being kind of behind it, and I forgot what the other one is. Zenith, I think.
So explain to me what. Can I ask you something, Dan? Then, because I'm just curious. So when you say something like that, so and does an entire team invest into one brand, or can each individual player say, "Hey, no, this is what I use," or where's the league in that kind of stance? How's that work?
So each team kind of makes their own deal, but they let the players, if they have a deal separate, to go against it. Like I know Riddell is basically their official helmet of the Browns. And I think there's like maybe 20 other NFL teams that has Riddell as their preferred helmet. But there are certain players that they like a particular brand. They will go ahead and use that brand. Like Patrick Mahomes has his own helmet. I forgot the name of the company. I used to know it, and now I don't remember it. But they're a very small company. They only got a few players to buy into it, and they kind of went out of business. But Mahomes is still hanging on, even though his helmet shattered like a glass jar last year during the playoffs. But yeah, it's we basically come to the agreement with and all the teams, and then even the ones that don't prefer us, we have a lot of their players that have the Riddell helmet. And then with colleges, it's the same thing. All the universities, we have agreements with them. Ohio State is Riddell. There's several other schools. So that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
But each player pretty much they have the right to pick whatever helmet they want to use.
Okay,
yeah.
that's what I wanted. So for the most part, most of the players just pick what's given to them. But on occasion, some of these dudes have special requests, or they're sponsored, or for whatever reason, they're being paid to wear a helmet or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Right. So there is an open market though that they're allowed to choose from, basically.
Absolutely.
That's okay. That's interesting. At least it is a little bit to me. I don't know. All right. So Deshaun Watson. Let's just talk about him right now and get it out of the way. So, Jeff, my thing is, I think he's much improved this week. I think he looked much better this week. I think like as far as like my eye test goes with him, he looked better. He looked more comfortable this week. He just looked better. I was like week one to me, he looked. I just the eye test. We're looking at him, and granted, don't get me wrong, dude. That week one, that dude was under pressure, like insane pressure that whole game, no doubt about it, and not as much pressure this game, and that does make a big difference. However,
Yeah, he even ran for one.
Yeah, but he was even doing some of the Watson stuff that I like to see. There was some things it was promising for me, at least. It wasn't something I walked away going hopelessness. I was like, you know what? I'm hoping for the best.
I wonder how much of Amari Cooper is the whole contract thing not working out the way he wanted it. Like, is it a mental thing more than anything? Is it like on his brain so much he can't even concentrate on catching the ball?
What the fuck? What the fuck is with that guy? I mean, like, in a million years, I cannot understand how somebody goes from Amari Cooper to the pooper. I mean, that dude is really fucking like bad right now. He's a
Braylon
bad
Edwards.
receiver. He's a bad receiver right now. He's not even good.
What pissed me off the most about him was on a catch that he made. I'll bring the play up, and you probably remember this, right? It's third down. Time's running out. We're trying to, move the chains and keep things going. Amari Cooper catches the ball just past the chains for a first down.
Oh, and he runs backwards.
And gets tackled.
Yeah, trying to get more yards. It's like you already got what you needed.
And I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing?
What a rookie move.
And you're like, you've been in the league 10 years, 12 years, or 11 years.
Yeah. What a rookie thing to do. And a guy, and it's not just that, dude. It's a dude who I don't know, how long has he been at the Browns now? 3-4 years, right?
This is third year.
Third year. A guy that's just been absolute nails. I mean, like the best professional. You're watching this guy. You're like, where's this guy been? That's how you do it. Blah blah blah. You're like, man, finally. And then
if you're gonna fuck up that bad, get your Murray Thrash out there.
Yeah, I mean, like I just don't understand how you just like that, and then it's like, oh, I don't know how to do this anymore. That's what it looks like. I mean, it's weird. It's only 2 games. I don't want to freak out about nobody yet. It's just 2 games. Let's pump the brakes a little, right?
And he said something about Flacco throwing a perfect ball, but those balls were in his hands.
Yeah.
He dropped a lot that were right.
Yeah.
That the Amari Cooper of old would have made a catch, would have made a play off of it.
Like he's covered in stickum.
I mean, week 1 was bad when Watson threw that long ball to him and hit him in stride, and he dropped it right before we crossed. It would have a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't.
But then,
I don't even know.
And then it's like, you're thinking, okay, whatever. It's week 1, and Watson probably could have thrown the ball a little bit better, whatever. But it's like this week, it was like times 10, and it got to the point where you could tell Watson didn't even trust him anymore. It's like, okay, I'm going to Judy, I'm going to David Bell until David Bell got hurt. He showed up and caught everything thrown his way, even Akins. So we're getting other people stepping up, which is nice. But Amari Cooper needs to show up.
That one Cooper drop was probably a touchdown.
100%.
And Jeff, what do you think they were? Do you think they were listening to you at all on the Pigskin here when they were talking about the running game and you were bitching about?
They should have been.
They must have. I think they were listening to because they did it. Yeah, they did exactly what you were saying.
We're going to use them in goal line situations. It's like, no, that's the bell cow back for now.
And it did help them. I mean, they had a small running game that it was enough to kind of open up a passing game. And
he had 127 yards, forward at 34.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't pin their ears back at all and just go after Watson. It was a good balanced game. It made for a decent everything. It looked like a real offense. That first week, it did not. It was just,
it wasn't on the Pigskin and the Mosh Pit, but on our radio thing. I think I picked them to win 21-13, and I missed it by a field goal.
Damn, dude, that's right. Wow, I gotta admit to you, that's really impressive. And I'm gonna have to make sure I put that up on Facebook so people will listen next time.
Yeah.
Anyways, that is excellent, man.
I was listening. I was like, wow, that's a good prediction right there.
Now he is good.
Yeah, you were close.
People, I'm good. Like, if you listen to the guy, he actually does predict things well. I got a question for Larry, actually. So Larry, this week, like I said, I do believe it was a bizarre week considering what I would have guessed it would have been. It was a little different than what I would have guessed. If I was a bettor, I would have lost my ass this week. There's no doubt about it. So what else did you notice, Larry, this week from on a more of a national level that kind of like you noticed and you're like, what? Look at these fucking guys. Is there anything like that going on? Or
well, there's a stat. I think I said earlier. I'm almost to the point where I'm more interested in seeing somebody beat the Chiefs than I am in seeing either one of our teams win. I'm just so irritated what's going on with that. And I saw a statistic that was pretty shocking, and I think it was something along the lines of Patrick Mahomes has had, I believe. Well, I have it for you. Yesterday, Patrick Mahomes threw his 17th interception that was called back to a defensive penalty. That's the most in the NFL since 2018.
Core ownership group.
And but it's, you know what, Jeff, it goes beyond that. I agree on that piece. 0 holding calls against the Chiefs in the Super Bowls.
Yeah.
That's almost statistically impossible.
And their
Anybody
former
does-
owner named the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I know I shit on stats because I get irritated with the whole point. I don't like when measurables trump results. That doesn't mean I don't pay close attention to measurables. In my human form, I do a lot of forecasting and Excel and all that other shit. And I crunch the fucking numbers. That is almost statistically impossible. And part of it is, Jeff, it is definitely the owner's thing. But there's another piece here. There's a desperation for Goodell to be presenting right now that everybody's watching the GOAT. Everything is the greatest right now. The current NFL is the greatest it's ever been.
No.
They're desperate for that. They're obsessed with that. So who are they going to build right now? I mean, you guys
Taylor
must
Swift.
football groups. Oh yeah. Patrick Mahomes has been the GOAT since he's been. I mean, they're creating that. I mean, last year there was a strong case where you could have had Brock Purdy be the MVP. They couldn't take the offensive player of the year away from McCaffrey. There was a strong case, sorry guys, that it should have been TJ Watt or Micah Parsons. Let's say TJ Watt as defensive player of the year, and your coach got coach of the year. Is there any remote possibility that you think the NFL would allow 4 white men, players, whatever, to get those 4 top awards?
No.
Nope.
Not a chance.
Nope.
Not a chance. Okay?
Preach.
Brock Purdy is so discriminated against, and I'll tell you how. You know who has the most passing yards in the league after 2 weeks?
Brock Purdy.
Brock fucking Purdy. Okay, and I'm not saying he's the best. I'm not saying so. We'll talk about the measurables. I'm looking at the passing yards ranking right now. Again, I get irritated with this. Sam Darnold, who we cast off as the Jets, and Baker Mayfield, both 2018, pick 1, pick 3. They are both 2-0. Oh, I'll throw Geno Smith in there just to demonstrate how completely inept the Jets are at developing talent. And we won't. And he's 2-0 at the Seahawks.
Oh yeah.
But let's just stick with the 2018 draft with those 2 guys. Sam Darnold, 4 TDs, 2 interceptions. Baker Mayfield, 5 TDs, 1 interception. A 111 rating for one, a 129 rating for Baker Mayfield, and they're 4-0 between the 2 of them. Our 2 shitheads are 2-2. Combined, 1-1 each. You know what they've got? I've got Rodgers sitting here with 3 TDs to one pick. Okay, I'll take that for a very modest 343 yards, and he's got a 92 passer rating. All right, Deshaun Watson is 355 yards, 1 TD, 2 picks,
Too many drops.
They all have drops. 63%. A 63 rating, and he's got 8 sacks taken, and I think he's got a fumble or 2 thrown in there too. 8 fucking sacks. There's only one starting guy, Gardner Minshew, with 9 in the league. Sacks.
Oh, correct. Yeah,
One
very
of the
correct.
worst
Yeah,
things
I think
about the
there
QB
was 6 last week.
one of the worst things of
was-
QB rating is they penalize the shit out of quarterbacks for INTs, and they don't give a jack shit about sacks taken, which are drive killers in many cases, worse than a pick in many cases, and they do nothing about fumbles really. If
I
it's an
also-
interception, it's death to your QB rating.
I also hate that so many interceptions are just blamed on the quarterback, even when they're no part of the equation, really.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
ball's in the air. It's not their fault anymore. It gets bounced off the helmet. Somebody tips it, whatever it is. The ball was thrown fine by the quarterback.
Jeff, I agree. If they could dissect it and get down to the point where they could really granular and say, if it was deflected off a guy's hands into it, like I said the first week with Rodgers, he throws a pick that was totally that guy. And Dan, I got to thank you because last week I was having Biden moments every time I tried to conjure up a name. So like when I was going off on my thing about the Raiders line, I think I said Rich Castor at tight end, and you correctly said Dave Casper.
Dave Casper.
I almost said Groucho Marx. I was just searching for a name. So Dan, thank you for keeping me. You're completing my thoughts. So thank you.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
But Jeff, if they could get granular on the thing and say, yes, this was a deflection, it's not his
Yeah.
fault. I get it. They don't. A pick is a pick, you know.
It's all in the
Or the
quarterback.
circumstances of the pick. He threw the pick on 3rd down and 100 miles. Well, that's not as bad as taking a sack, a strip sack on 2nd down and deep in the territory. That's devastating. So
By the way,
they've got none of it is nuanced with the rating.
By the way, did you know that sacks go against team passing yards and not rushing, and they don't count against the individual passer yardage?
I knew that.
Wow.
Yeah, it just goes against the team. Like, let's just say I'll throw out there. Let's say Watson throws for 300 yards, but he takes 3 sacks for loss of 20. It'll be 280 yards passing for the Browns, even though he threw for 300.
I got you.
But it doesn't go against any individual stats at all. Like in college and in high school, it counts against a quarterback's rushing yards when they get sacked.
As well it should.
As it should. But in the NFL, it doesn't, and it hasn't for decades. And not a lot of people realize that. And it's kind of weird when you think about it. It's like, okay, you took the sack and the defense is happy, but and statistically, it doesn't even exist.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah.
Why do you think they do that? I mean, what's the purpose in doing that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's.
I mean, I can't think of any reason why they would like, oh, we're not going to count the yards against it. Don't do it. We want to pad his stats. I mean, what the fuck?
I don't know. I wish it would count against the rushing stats like it does in every other level of football, because, then it actually, maybe quarterbacks might not take any sacks. Maybe
I don't know.
If it counted against you individually a little bit more, maybe the ego says, hey, I don't want to get sacked. But at the end of the day, it's kind of count against Watson's rushing yards.
I guess in some ways it does make sense, because it's not considered a rush until they pass the line of scrimmage. So if you're tackled behind the line of scrimmage, I guess it's not considered a rush. That's why it's a sack, right? Does that make sense? So maybe that's why they use it against the passing yards and not the rushing yards. I guess in my mind that would make sense.
But Big Bri, it should make a difference on the pass, because, and I've brought this up before about Dan Fouts. Most people remember how many yards Dan Fouts threw for after the rule changes, because he was mediocre until then for the first 6 years. He was. Right. Then 78, he exploded. But what they're always like, well, he's one like he and Marino. But the difference is with Marino was like Namath. He was virtually unsackable. He took a third of what his peer group took, which is what Namath took of his peer group, because their releases were so fast.
Yeah.
But people always be like, Fouts is one of the greats, even though he never won. Part of the reason they never won was not because they always had a terrible defense. Part of the reason was he took 9 million drive-killing sacks for losses. He took a shitload. He took about 400. He was like a third above his peer group. And it doesn't hurt anything on him statistically or on his legacy. And he was a great player. It was fun to watch. But you knew a guy that he's going to eat the ball 4 sacks a game when it matters. You're not going to win with that. He's going to have critical.
So you're saying what, he held on to the ball too long? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You got to get rid of the fucking ball. Well, you were talking about last week about the 4.6 seconds or whatever it was on the time that you have a protection. I think 3 seconds is 3 to 3.5 is considered, good for pros. You better get rid of the ball. If you're over 3.5 seconds, you didn't get rid of the ball fast enough.
No, they don't have much time.
Sacked.
They're freaks. The defensive lines are freaks on the NFL, and you don't have much time. You're right. Plays have to develop fast, and you have to be on your second read after your first second and a half. You already got to be on your second read and all that stuff. And the best quarterbacks, that's what they definitely are best at, is definitely surveying the field better than the other quarterbacks are. I mean, really, that's what separates them. I mean, I don't know if people realize that, but most quarterbacks, it's not arm strength and it's not accuracy. That all matters, but it's the guys who can dissect the defense and know where the open receiver is. That's the guy who is the Hall of Fame quarterback. And you watch football all the time. And you watch, I mean, as a Browns fan, unfortunately, we have this often. This has happened where we watch the Browns game at 1:00 because we almost never had a nationally televised game. And then you always watch the nationally televised game, and it would be like a whole different speed. Like everything looked different. Like you were like, whoa, this is like, look at that dude throw the ball and he caught it. And then, holy shit, you're like, man, look at this game. This is so much more fun. You know, or I used to say, because I'm a pretty big Buckeyes fan also, I used to always say I watch football on Saturday and I watch the Browns on Sunday. But you know,
Yeah.
it's like you that's how it was, you know. And I forgot the point I was going to make with this.
That's a good line, though.
Yeah, but I was going to make a damn good point with this. I can't remember.
You got mesmerized by the Duke's eyeball in the back because it's been hypnotizing me too.
Dude, you see that?
I have been staring at him. What the fuck is that?
I can't
Look
be
at that
wrong,
thing.
one, right?
It's like, damn, dude, that is kind of cool,
I
actually.
keep
Man.
looking at that thing, and it's whoa.
It's this is where I do my show and my interviews and stuff. So he's got to
Yeah,
be cool.
Yeah, that's a cool thing, man. That's a cool poster there. I dig that shit, man. Defense, real
Thank
quick.
you.
So I want
Thank you.
to ask you guys about our defense. So
Alex Wright.
going right back into football. You see how fast I turn that shit, Duke?
Alex Wright, baby.
Yeah, Alex Wright definitely showed up.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely showed
Nobody
up.
mattered.
The defensive line looked fucking pretty good. I am
Like
a little
night and day.
concerned about. I am a little concerned about Garrett. When he has these lingering fucking injuries, it seems like
he does all season.
it seems like it always affects him too, man. But yeah. And now that everybody knows, you know, I see. To me, I'm wondering, like, now that, like, if I'm on the offensive line, I'm like, that motherfucker's foot hurts. I would be stomping on that thing. I mean, I want that. I mean, or would I? I don't know. Or would I? I don't know. They'd be looking up, being like, I don't know if that was a good idea.
You
So
want
Go ahead, man.
you want to know what the most safe bet you can make every weekend?
What's up?
Myles Garrett gets one offsides penalty per game.
Yeah.
Book it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, like it's like I don't know that that's such a forgivable thing anymore. Like I kind of for a while there thought, yeah, well, he's Myles Garrett, but like that is kind of like, again, you know, like it's kind of like what Larry was saying about sacks being drive killers. Those are drive extenders, and those are, you know, when you get, even if you do it on first down, it doesn't really matter because first and five is 2 free plays. You know, it kind of becomes that. In the NFL, that's really rotten when you give a team that opportunity each time. And I'm not sure. I mean, he needs to show a little more discipline, I think, doing that. I hate to say it, but yes.
I think probably, and it's a good point, because I think probably he could be, if they were really being strict, ridiculously strict, they could probably call him 3 times a game on it. But that happens with a lot of guys that jump and are fast. I get that, and he lines up, and you know, that used to be a problem for a lot of nose tackles when nose tackles with the 3-4 was popular. Whether it was Michael Dean Perry, they do it the cocked, like they would go at the center at an angle.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right?
Yeah.
Joe Flacco used to. They always looked like their shoulder was off over the line. Right? Bill Nas, Tim Crumry with Cincinnati, Klecko with the Jets. They all those nose tackles in the 3-4. They all look like they're a little bit off, and a lot of the guys who are the quick DEs, you know, they jump. It's a nanosecond, but he could probably get called 3 if they really were being strict. But Dan, I agree, he's going to bank 1 no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah. Do they have that? What is the over under on?
I wish I knew. I quit gambling last year because I always lost. But I wish someone, if one of the gambling websites had that as something to bet on, I would easily take the over on it, because he's always going to be good for at least 1, if not 2, and it's always going to be about second, third quarter, and it's always him trying to get that quick, like, nanosecond timing the center.
Yeah.
And it's always off. Now I'll flip it and say, you can also say that they won't call at least 3 holding penalties against them per game, and I'm being generous by saying only 3.
Yeah,
it's probably close to like 5, 6, 7.
Well,
you know,
man, they're calling a lot of penalties right now, dude. And it's not just the Browns games. I mean, it's every game I'm watching. It's just penalty after penalty after penalty. A lot of motion penalties and
that illegal shift is
procedure penalties.
Yeah. That illegal shift and that legal procedure, that because the Chiefs did it and they got called for it. Oh my God, the Chiefs got called for a penalty and it cost them a game. Ooh, so now the NFL has to make an example out of this and call on everybody, because you know the high and mighty Kansas City Chiefs actually got a penalty called on them and it cost them a game. And it's like, and for whatever reason, the Browns. I don't know if it's Andy Dickerson being the offensive line coach, a new offensive line coach, and having 2 new tackles, but man, they are guilty of it a lot.
You know, they are. They're turning into a team like I'm watching them play the Bengals, and I'm like not rooting for the Bengals, ever. And they make it hard. and then you got this Taylor Swift, and they got to constantly show her, and I'm like, they're making it harder. And then
I swear.
The best thing is though.
Oh my God.
We're about to be in week 3. The Bengals and Rappers are both 0-2, and Pittsburgh has 1 touchdown.
I know, dude. I know, and it is a bizarre. I mean, it's not. See, it's to me, Pittsburgh's not bizarre again. They do exactly. They're doing exactly what they do every year, all the time. That's why when every other team goes, every year is a different year. I'm like, not for them, dudes. Every year in Pittsburgh is the same year, dude. Mediocre team goes in and wins fucking 10 games and goes.
It's about to stop
every
for
fucking year, dude. I hope.
They're
I
about
hope
to play
dude.
some real competition because they haven't yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, they've had a very easy schedule.
Yeah.
Atlanta found a way to beat the Eagles, but they laid down in that first game.
Yeah, it has been easy. And I don't expect it to last. All I'm saying is that frickin' Tomlin finds a way to win, and that's the end of that. I mean, I don't care what anyone says. And like I say, I work with this dude who grew up in Pittsburgh, and it's hilarious because they all want him fired in Pittsburgh. They hate him.
He hasn't won a Super Bowl since like 2008.
Oh yeah. Oh, I hear the stats all the time. Well, we only won 3 playoff games in the last 4 years, or whatever, 8 years. I don't care. Whatever.
The Browns have a playoff win more recent than Pittsburgh has, and
I know.
Tell it to a Steelers fan, they fucking hate it. Yeah, against them too. Oh, they hate that shit.
You know what?
They turn into. Go ahead, Larry.
Go ahead. I'm still.
It was amazing to watch Ben cry. That's all I gotta say.
So what we got? Who we got coming up? The Giants, right?
The Giants. Yep. Danny Dimes.
Yeah, that's looking like
a broken piggy bank.
Yeah, that team doesn't look too good. Like, and they lost Barkley, and I think that was a big mistake, man. I really do.
Did you know that the Giants are the first team in NFL history to score 3 touchdowns, not turn the ball over and lose?
Really?
Yep. They didn't give up a touchdown and lost.
That's hilarious.
Wait a minute. What happened?
That's crazy.
Because they scored all the points on defense.
They had 7 field goals by our old buddy Austin Seibert.
I didn't know that. Oh, we drafted that dude.
Yeah, including the game.
They beat out Pittsburgh with their 6 in week 1. Wow.
They had 7 field goals. They went 7 for 7, including the game winner in the final seconds. The Giants did not turn the ball over. They scored 3 touchdowns. Did not give up a score, and they fucking lost.
Wow. Interesting stat right there. That's the thing.
Heartbreaker.
Wow. Yeah. And they just paid
pretty good.
Well, they paid their quarterback. And
yeah, they did.
I mean, I don't know, dude. It's just the money the quarterbacks they throw around for these quarterbacks. I don't know, dude. Love for Green Bay, boom, out, done, he's out.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, dude, it's so that money is crazy because the guaranteed money that they're throwing around is still, Watson's not the big guy anymore.
No.
He's still one of them. He's one of them. He's just not.
He had the biggest guarantee. He wasn't the highest paid already.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm just saying his contract, it won't be long. It'll be a bargain. It's crazy as that sounds. It just sounds so crazy. But it will be. I mean, actually, compared to Mahomes, it kind of still is a bargain. Mahomes might not have a lot of guaranteed money, but he's going to collect on that contract no matter what. I mean, they're not cutting Mahomes anytime soon. So
Jared Goff's the guy with the deal. We talked about that in the past. He's got the most guaranteed money, and he's also got his fiance is about 40 times hotter than Taylor Swift. He wins.
Even if she can't sing a lick.
She is. She's a Sports Illustrated model. Jared Goff for the win.
Yeah, and he's an ugly son of a bitch.
You know who else for the win? There's Joe Willie Namath escorting Raquel Welch to the 1972 Academy Awards.
Raquel Welch for winner of like all time.
And then he has Susie Colbert if he could kiss her.
I know.
And you know what? And you know what, Jeff? 10 years earlier, Susie Colbert probably would have asked him the same question.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's funny, man.
That's
great
probably
shit.
still the high point. You know, he was terrible that night, but come on, he's Broadway Joe. He's not fucking Boy Scout Joe.
Yeah.
You know,
Good point.
That
Good
is
point.
true.
making
Yeah,
biker
that's a-
movies with Anne Margaret while these other guys were all nerding out. You know, going with Raquel Welch to the Academy Awards, being on the
Yeah.
Brady Bunch.
I remember that. I remember that episode.
Marsha.
He was on the Flip Wilson show. He had his own show, his own talk show. He was on with Ali. I mean, there were three rock stars in the world in 1969: Muhammad Ali, Joe Namath, and Elvis Presley. That was it. So Travis Kelce. When you mention Taylor Swift, who gives a shit? Man, who gives a
I know,
shit?
dude. I agree.
Another
with that.
stupid, another musician
It's ridiculous that
who thinks
ratings
their
are up.
opinion matters.
Ratings
As
were
we
the
give our
highest ever
opinions.
for that.
Yeah, you know them fucking musicians. You know.
I know. Fucking musicians.
Hey, I barely have a musician's card. I only play out about once every 10, 12 years. So, you know,
yeah, well, dude,
I'm barely in the group.
yeah, but we're gonna get you back out there in the next couple of months. I mean, we got to figure that out, how to get you back out there for
Oh, I'm looking for shows in 2035.
I love it. We can count on that shit, man. Hell yeah, dude. So you guys think? Okay, so now you've seen for game one, we've gone into game two, game three's coming. Conklin might be available. It looks like I'm starting to think more and more he will be. But I mean, what do I know? I don't have that big. I don't have like an inside scoop or anything. Just based on what I've been hearing, one of them two guys I think will be ready to go, and I think it might be Conklin. I think the line might improve. I'm hoping.
Cooper's got to have the game of the season.
Well, again, I'm just going to go on a limb here and say I just can't see this hanging on forever. I'm thinking this is just a thing. And I think I'm hoping because it's hard for me to imagine that dude just all of a sudden one day just his seed dried right up and that was the end of him.
I mean, do the Giants have a defense?
No,
I don't have anything.
From what I understand, the Giants don't have much, right? I mean, like they don't. Am I right? They're just pretty.
Well, they did a good job of keeping Washington out of the end zone, but then again, Washington's starting a rookie quarterback. So,
Yeah, Washington's not exactly like a juggernaut in themselves. So
No.
it's not like, no.
I
So
mean, Brian Robinson, Washington's running back, had a very good game. He just couldn't score, but he did rush for like at least 120 yards, I think. So, and Eckler had a decent game as his backup. So you can run the ball on them, and that's good if we get Foreman back, as the main carrier, and that opens things up for Ford because it seemed to really open things up for Ford last week. So hopefully that continues.
They
Hopefully,
definitely
he doesn't
need.
have a stutter step anymore.
They definitely need their line to get back. They need a lot better line play. There's no two ways about it. I mean,
100%.
it's just ugly even when it works.
Did somebody just sign Kareem Hunt today?
The
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
His old.
I was wondering. It said a
They-
Super Bowl
they-
contender. I was wondering who it was. I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
They
He
can
went back
have him.
home.
They could have
Ross
Kareem
Scott
Hunt.
probably gave him a big discount.
Yeah. He didn't show that he was the same dude that whole year. That last year he was definitely not the same guy. And then you hear the reports coming off of who was their running backs coach.
Scott Mitchell.
Yeah, he came right out and said this dude was showing up late all the time. He was just kind of, as they would say, acting the fool, and just that kind of thing.
Here's the thing about Kareem Hunt: if you need 3 yards, he'll get you 3. If you need 8 yards, he'll get you 3.
Yeah,
That's a good
I
one.
mean, a couple of years ago, he was really good, but that was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah. Go ahead, man.
Were there any bad injuries for the Browns this past week? I know the Jets had one season-ending injury on a guy.
David Bell. Now this is a guy that
The
they cut.
tendon or something.
Yeah, he's out for. I think he's out for the season. His hip.
Yeah, he is.
It was a hip injury or something. Now there's a guy they cut, and then he passed waivers, right? And then they got him back, and then they brought him up for this game, I believe. And then
I think
hip
they're
injury
probably-
out, done.
I think receiver is probably one of their strongest positions, even with Bell gone. I mean, bring Mike Woods back up or let Thrash play.
I'm still not sold. I'm still not sold on Elijah Moore yet, though. I mean, I know he's looked better and everything, but
They're not using him the way they should.
yeah, I don't. They still don't have that guy that they could just shoot down the field and he's going to catch a ball 30, 40 yards.
Jerry Judy looked pretty good. I don't know. He caught two that weren't really easy to catch.
Well, that one on 2nd and 20 when Watson rolled to his right and threw down the sideline, and he caught it, tipped it to himself, and then turned upfield and got about 10 more. That was to me, that's been the best play that he's done. But he's definitely been the most reliable receiver that we've had.
Yeah, and then the next catch right after that was another not super easy catch, and he caught it.
Well, I'll tell you guys on Elijah Moore, the Jets gave up on him because he was very hot and cold.
Yeah.
Oh, I gather he
Inconsistent.
He was, yeah. And I mean, I would have opted to keep him at the time because I thought he had value, but he was hot and cold.
He can definitely show flashes.
Yeah. He just was inconsistent with the Jets, and they felt when they got Garrett Wilson and they went for Lazard and these other guys they brought in, but I would have rather seen him keep more.
I feel like that's where the attitude came from, though, because I feel like he did pretty decently for them before they got Garrett, and then he felt like he was like down the food chain from then on. Yeah,
he did, and but even with that, when he had his opportunities again, he was hit and miss. He had some very good games. You say, okay, that guy's on track now. Then he'd go silent for a game or two. Say, what the hell happened to him?
I believe he really makes the effort, though. Like he works out really hard and everything.
Yeah. Oh, I think he's worth having on the squad. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Let me ask you: should we be concerned about Njoku? I mean, like, is it this is a high ankle sprain? These things can really fucking be a pain in the ass for anybody, especially the tight end.
He just seems like a guy that's going to work really hard to get back sooner than later, even with that kind of an injury.
Well, the guy
give him a shot.
Well, the guy came back from Burns.
Oh yeah.
You know what? That's a good fucking point right there, dude.
Speaking of Burns, Sid from Slipknot got pretty badly burned by a
pyrotechnic.
It was like a bonfire kind of burst into more flame, and his face is pretty burned.
Really?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Everything's a fireball nowadays.
I'm a burn survivor, so I'm
Yeah, you are.
that kind of anytime I hear something like that, it just makes me like ugh. So I'm praying for him to make a full recovery.
Definitely.
Well, I will tell you, on the injury front, I will tell you the Jets, of course, last week, they had to pull one. Jermaine Johnson, who they were relying on, they let Bryce Huff go, who was outstanding last year as an edge guy. He went to the Eagles, and he's been stinking up the joint. They brought in Hassan Reddick, who was very upset with the Eagles. They brought him in without a contract. He's refusing to play. I think he's up to about almost $4 million of penalties and fines or whatever for missing 2 games plus all of camp. He won't sign. And they were relying on Jermaine Johnson, who was their first-round pick, 26th overall 2 years ago. Started off well, torn Achilles tendon Sunday after the season.
That sucks.
So suddenly they're thin at the defensive line, which was a strength to them last year. They're suddenly weak at it.
Yeah, I mean, I got
and a bad injury, and they're done.
I gotta say, I'm not real happy about the fact that I think that Njoku thing is going to hurt us down the road. I really do. I don't think you can replace that dude, and I think that dude was destined to have a crazy year. And if anybody was going to have a big year, I mean, look, what did they show a stat today? Over 50% of his passes, just like 50%, were under 9 yards. Who's going to benefit most from them? That guy, Njoku would have, and turned a lot of those into 20-yard fucking gains.
I think at the most of his 3 games, and he had a terrible first game.
Yeah,
well, I think. Look,
other than the play he got hurt on, he was Cooper last week.
Yeah. All I'm going to say about this whole team and the whole thing is this: they got to keep winning, and they got to keep getting better. And at the end of the year, they got to win the very last game of the postseason. And that's all I'm going to fucking say about that.
Yep. Haslam has a lot of money. He should try to figure out. He should try to figure out how to buy his way into the core ownership group.
Who's that?
Haslam.
Hassel. Yeah,
He's
there's
got
like
a lot.
they need a fifth team, right? Isn't there four? I think there's four teams. Or is there?
I believe so.
Hey, that's. Hey, I've heard this going around, man. I've heard this going around, dude, and it makes sense when you have such a shitty ass, mediocre shit team like Pittsburgh. They keep winning. There it is. That explains it all, right
and
there.
Kansas City. I believe the league wants them to three-peat. I fully 100% do.
Well, I guarantee you,
so.
yeah. Well, yeah, they don't. Well, because okay, all right. This is a good segue to bring into something that. So let's talk about Goodell a little bit. All right. Now we have
Steelers
one guy.
fan.
Well, we have one guy on our panel that. Oh, there I go. I'm gone. We have one guy on our panel that absolutely loves Goodell and Larry DeWolf. He's one of his favorite guys. He's told me he's like.
I like
He's
him.
like,
I
I got a poster.
Lifelong Steelers fan.
So
Goodell's a globalist. He's woke and he wants the whole league to be international. He wants us playing games in Thailand and Taiwan and wherever the fuck. And he'll expand at all costs. And he wants an alternate national anthem. And he wants everybody to be thinking they're living in the era of the goats. Everybody's the goat, and they're not. It can't even naturally occur anymore, which is a shame. Because Jeff won earlier, they're starting to make it feel like they're calling the winners and losers. You know, they're going to make sure that Mahomes is a 3-time MVP.
Uh-oh.
We lost.
Goodell just fucking cut him off.
Brother said Big Brother cut him off.
Goodell's like,
He's talking too
cut
much
that
shit. We gotta shut him
motherfucker up
down.
right now.
Oh, man.
There we go.
There we go.
I got the
Dude, you were stuck like this on there, man.
You had a great rant going, and all of a sudden it's like,
words
oh.
for the goat. Otto Graham.
Oh, that's fucking was funnier than shit.
I gotta be curious to watch the replay on this now as soon as we get off.
Oh yeah, what you say? As soon as you started killing Goodell, you were just stopped. He was like, Goodell was like, "Stop that man! Stop that man now!" Oh my god, dude,
they pushed the button, man. They're watching us. The FBI is going to show up on us, knocking at the door. Hey, did you guys put some bad memes out? Were you guys critical of our guy?
Who? Nicky Dome?
Yeah.
So, but you make a good point though, as far as what you were saying about how they do want to, how Goodell's vision is to expand into a global thing, and I mean, I don't think this is a good for the game. And what we were saying before, the point I made was every business is always trying to expand and make more money. That's the aim of every business. Blah blah blah. I get that, and we're maybe at a point where they just feel like there's nowhere to go within the country here, so they're going to go international. And the thing is, it's called like jumping the shark, right? Where all of a sudden you finally get to a point where you're going to make this decision where your product now suffers as a result, as for your thirst for to go farther.
It's suffering.
I mean, I'm thinking that's what we're seeing now.
I mean, if fucking Mahomes is so good, why do they need all these phantom calls?
That's why he's so good.
That's why he's so good.
Yeah, but that's
Helps.
ridiculous in itself. The Browns won that game if they counted the helmet-to-helmet hit on the end zone instead of making that ridiculous change where they got the ball. He didn't even use his hands at all. His hands were at his side. He harpooned our Hollywood Higgins.
Listen,
that should have been a Browns touchdown.
There's a couple plays. Yeah, there's a couple. That is an egregious one that I will, because I don't like bringing up refs calls a lot, and I don't like bringing up a lot of stuff because I think all teams deal with it. But there are a few. That call right there is one that I always think about, and I think about the one in the Super Bowl with the Saints.
That dude's in bubble wrap. That when Matt
That
Wilson or whatever.
Was that the Super Bowl or was that the championship game? One of the two games though, where the interference.
On the Rams. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's like there's like two calls or three or four.
And it's just so easy.
You're just
to
like,
get right
whoa.
back there. It's like, don't worry about that call. You'll be back next year.
Yeah, that Kansas City game, that call
easy.
was pretty bad. That's bad. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
Especially at a time where everything is about that. Like it's amazing that everything was about helmet to helmet contact, leading with the helmet. That was it was never at a higher. Yeah, it was the most heightened it ever's been. And
the outcome of the play was the worst part. It's like, not only did we not get our touchdown, we lose the ball and it's theirs. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, that was a rough one. That was a rough one. We're going back on that one. So, Larry, you got anything for us on this week episode? Did you bring anything?
Yeah, I always do. And
what do you got, man?
I'll show you this, but I will tell you. As I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking Goodell is like, it was like he was the guy telling Kiss to do Dynasty in 79, 78.
He was made for loving you.
You can be, instead of deepening the relationship with your core fan base and getting more value there, in a lust for expansion, they're going to alienate the core, because at some point they lost me to an extent until, you guys kind of brought me back in, and I'm not going to promote it the way I did before. I do it for the show, but I'm engaged this year for what we're doing. This is fun. But I hear more and more people say, every year, I'm just watching college. I've had it with this shit. And they watch one bad call. They watch the Chiefs. They watch some playoff games, and they start to feel like somebody's putting a thumb on the scale, and they don't like it. People don't like to see that. It's what hurt boxing so badly years ago with, when it was so obvious that it was crooked, and they in their desperate attempt for expansion, it went from the 9 core weights that you had for title belts. It went to super middleweight to junior middleweight, super under middleweight, and then they had ×3 governing bodies, and you had 100 guys walking around with a belt. Yeah, and then they knew it was crooked, and whoever was promoting who was going to have an edge. And it hurt the sport so badly that it's never quite recovered from, and that opened the door for UFC and MMA to step in. Football's doing that. They're so involved with Taylor Swift. If Taylor Swift decides to break up with Travis Kelce tomorrow and not show up at a Chiefs game or start wearing a Chiefs suck shirt, is that going to be good for the NFL since they've invested so much in her? All those casual fans they've picked up from this stuff are going to say, hey, this is silliness. They're going to leave tomorrow.
Yeah, so it's not like she's singing.
Yeah, it feels like Kiss alienating their core fans, but that's because I was angry at them back in 1979.
I feel like that was more the Elder than Dynasty, though.
Dynasty was the start of it.
Yeah, Dynasty's when they had a little disco to their beat, Yeah.
I would take the Oath off the Elder over any song on Dynasty.
I don't think I know the Oath.
The Oath's a good song.
It's a song. Yeah, they did a live version on Fridays. There's a couple bad ones, and they have a co-written song with Lou Reed on that record. But yeah, they lost a lot of fans. You know what it was? It was the Vegas meets Disney on Ice meets Ice Capades meets Liberace staging.
It's a lot of meat.
Yeah. I didn't paint any good pictures in that. It would have been great for Angel, but not for Kiss. So yes, I did bring something this week, gentlemen. I brought this book, since we're talking about quarterbacks. Okay. This book
Joe Namath
came out in 1973. This is called Joe Namath, A Matter of Style. And you can see that was when they had the images. This was big on those pro magazines when you go to the NFL games. They like to show that stop, whatever they call it, that where they put the shutter and you get a series of motion shots.
Like a hologram or something.
Yeah, in the 70s.
Something like that.
Yeah. So, but this book was written after he had his comeback season in 72, led the league in passing yards and touchdowns, and was an all-pro. It's a great book that shows the ins and outs of. I don't think there was anything like it at the time. It shows him getting ready. There are his knees with the early knee braces on Dr. Nicholas, and it's probably hard to see, but that right knee has 4 horrific scars on it.
Wow.
And that was after the 71 season when the healthy left knee was destroyed. They also show sequences like this. This is what he was able to do. This was the Alabama jump pass that he did all the way through when he had one knee that was in good shape.
Now you talked about that, I think, at one point. The Alabama jump pass.
Yeah, I mean, he did that. Like it's like a scissor kick. That's like a what do you call that guy? The guy used to do the scissor kick over the high jump before they invented the Fosbury flap. But the reason why this book was so important for kids at that time was that, Vince Lombardi called him the perfect passer. Bill Walsh said he was the most perfect quarterback he had ever seen, and he drafted Joe Montana to model after Namath. And the thing he did was followed his footwork. So they have this great fold-out section in this book where you get all these angles of him from the front and back, and they show him creating torque through the hip. He gets hip hop almost like a javelin thrower. It's remarkable. And then they have a really cool section here. Of course, there's a great color section, but they have all that with the rotation of the throw or the throwing motion. And then they have a great section here where he talks about reading the defense. And reading the defense has all kinds of things like throwing into man-to-man, wing coverage. So you got all these diagrams of what he was seeing when he read defenses. Now, granted, those were pretty primitive relative to what we see today.
Maybe, yeah.
But for that time, your window to throw was so narrow, you had to buy time because the guys were mugging receivers all the way.
I was going to say, they were draping on them. They were
all over there. They were on them all over, all the way down. Fun. They were holding with the line. They were just mugging them. So you had to create time. It's an interesting book because, again, it shows him from beginning to end his experience. It shows him leaving with the fans, going into every place like a rock star. It's a pretty cool book. But this came out in '73, the year after he was as All-Pro comeback season. And it's a pretty special book. I've had that my whole life.
That's
and it was one of the ones I ever saw that I explained to laymen and to kids, what was reading a defense and what was throwing motion.
Yeah, cool, man. Hall of Famer, Joe Namath. Hall of Famer, Larry the Wolf, and Hall of Famer, Jeff Hatrix. I was at the Hall of Fame. I saw you guys there. You guys are Hall of
That's
Famers
awesome.
in my book.
I was outside. I was hoping that it was still outside, but it rained, so I lost.
Hey, next week maybe we could talk about they had the seniors selections for the Hall of Fame for next year, and there's some interesting names on it.
All right, we will. We'll talk about it next week because we're out of time, man. Good time, guys. Fun time.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
We got the Giants coming up this week. Any quick predictions? Jeff, what do you got?
24-6 Browns.
Wow. 24-6. You're going with they're just going to keep kicking field goals, or are they going to not kick their extra point? They had the field goals kicked against them. My bad.
Our defense should tear them up, I believe.
Larry the Wolf, what's your prediction this week? You got one? You're not allowed to predict no more. We're banning you.
Duke, I was the jinx the first week. So I believe in that. I can't be the jinx again.
I think the Steelers will take their first loss, too.
Oh, good. And a double prediction from Jeff. What do you got, Dan?
Yeah.
I'm going to say 27-10 Browns.
Wow, another one. What do you got, Duke?
17-6 Browns.
Everyone for the Browns. I'm going to go with I think this game's going to be 17-3. I'm going with 17-3 here.
Ooh,
I don't really think the Giants are going to do much against our defense, to be honest with you. And as a matter of fact, I think our defense is getting better, and I think naturally that happens. And I think
the young guys seem to be coming of age a little more.
Yeah, and I don't think the Giants are very good at all. Should not have got rid of Saquon Barkley. That wasn't smart. All right, we're gonna call it a night. Thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks everybody who watched, the few that did, and
Super Bowl.
Browns.
I'll see you
Here
guys.
we go, Brownies. Here we go.
All right, we'll see everybody next week.
Later.
Later, guys.